pretty decent. Only 10,000 miles. And actually, this wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was. That's actually really light. But unfortunately, that ain't supposed to be like that. So who knows what that's gonna look like. So other than that, I think I did pretty good. So, well, I better get strapped down. It's raining now and I'm getting wet. Well, this will be the first update on the Mini Cooper. Largely I just wanted to take the front wheel off and inspect the damage, so I can plan accordingly, because I want to work on the flex first overall. But anyways, well, there's good news and there's bad news and there's good news. The good news is it's a very fixable car. Some of the bad news is there's damage that wasn't from the accident, like the front bumper there. I don't think there's really anything broken, but it's just popped out of place. That's from it being winched up on the flatbed of a tow truck or whatever. And then this, wherever this came from. And then on the back bumper here, which is otherwise undamaged, back here, there's scrape damage. And there's no way that's related to the accident, at least most likely not. Like I said, this isn't as bad as I thought it was, so that's pretty good. Door will be replaceable. The good news is, overall, the frame is straight. The bad news, the only bad news is, and this is what's gonna kind of screw with me as far as my plans go, is this strut broke. There's the piece there and the end link laying there too. It bent the control arm, which I kind of figured, but I think that's it. I think the axle's fine, other than it just, when it's leaned over, it's pulled out. But when you push it, you can push it back in there. See, there it went back in. I think it might be fine, but if I gotta replace the axle shaft too, fine, whatever, not a big deal. The only thing is, when that sucker broke, this bottom end got forced into the frame rail and punched a hole in it, and it also wrinkled this sheet metal right here. And then this top piece put a little tiny hole right there. And then the wheel, the tire and the wheel bent that in just a smidge, and that flange there just a smidge. Now, while that looks all, terrible, that's just inner sheet metal. While it is obviously still important, it's not super duper important. The important thing is this frame rail didn't bend and this strut tower didn't move anywhere. And that's pretty easy to determine, largely because if you look up here, none of the seam sealer, which is a good indication on anything really, because this stuff's pretty much hard. If metal moves, like I can show you right here, like where the sheet metal bent, it cracks right there, so there is no crack seam sealer anywhere on this, nor here, not even down here, right where this upper part, the vertical part, meets the frame rail. Just below that was where the hole is, and there's no deformation there at all. And of course, these bolts didn't move. Usually, if something moves, you'll see where the bolts originally were. This isn't bent, because you got this holding it, you got the bumper bar holding the frame rail, you got the motor mount holding the frame rail, you got the subframe holding the frame rail, you got all that stuff holding the frame rail. So even though it punched a hole right here and bent this inner sheet metal, it didn't affect the outer sheet metal or the rest of the frame rail. So by and large, all I gotta do first, that I'm probably gonna end up having to do, because I'd probably want to work on this before there's a strut back in here, is I gotta move this. It also kinked this brake line, so and I'll have to fix the brake line mount here. I'll have to either probably cut out some of this and then hammer it out, and then try to bend some of this back. It doesn't have to be perfect, just because again it's largely superficial. Yeah, it pushed the sheet metal inwards, which caused this to kink downwards a little bit. So if I cut this out and relieve some of the stress here, or this, you know, prevents you from straightening this out too much. So once I get some of this cut out, I can probably pull some of this down and hammer this back up. And this is just a tiny little hole here punched up. I'll do what I can. Again, it's not anything super terrible. This flange here I'll bend down, and then I'll pound up on the ridge, which then should bring this back out to where it should be. Look at that. It didn't break the strut, but it broke the little plastic doohickey. Well, I could probably just stay there. Yeah, and then just bend this back out. And yeah, because this largely looks, this area here, which is pretty solid, looks the same on the other side. So this didn't get really deformed at all. You know, this largely didn't move at all. The only damage to the outer surface is just right here. And again, that's nothing super bad. So you know, while it sucks that I have to monkey around with that, at least it doesn't really affect the, you know, integrity of the vehicle. It shouldn't affect the geometry at all or nothing like that. Obviously, you'd find out more once you put suspension in it and put it up on the alignment rack, but I am pretty confident that there's nothing wrong with it. Absolute worst case scenario, you have to put up on the frame rack and have it pulled a little bit, but I don't think so. I mean, everything else, like I say, all this looks correct. And if this was tweaked in any way, that hood wouldn't close like it should. This wouldn't look like it should. You know, you'd have a few more clues that something's not right. And like I say, you'd see cracked seam sealer in these areas if that were the case. So that's probably it for this. I don't think there's anything else I really have to explain for now. So basically, I just got to figure out how I'm going to proceed forward now. If I decide to try to fix this now, or if I wait a few days, we'll see, because I'm already getting parts in for the Ford. At the very least, I'd like to get this fixed so then I could just drop this off at my friend's shop and then just have him replace the suspension. That way I can, you know, move this thing, you know, move it around whenever I want. And then I can fix the rest of it later. I guess the good news is, largely, other than having to deal with this damage here, once that's done and the suspension is fixed, it's really just replace parts. That's it. And then the only other body work I have to do, of course, is the quarter panel. The door will be replaced, the hood will be replaced, bumper, that'll just be repaired, that little divot there. And of course, obviously, the other bumper will have to be, you know, taken off, sand them scratched down, and repaint it. But so really the biggest job really is just taking care of this first, and that's really about it. And the rest will be pretty simple. I'm really happy with the way this looks otherwise. I mean, it's disappointing that I gotta fiddle with that, but you guys can't, I mean, that's why it went so cheap. The only other thing is it sucks is, well, it just looks like there's just a tiny corner missing out of this core support. It actually turns into a big bracket, and that's all destroyed. Good news is, though, these are pretty cheap. So really, all in all, other than, like I say, having to fiddle with that inner sheet metal there, this should be a pretty easy repair. So having said that, peace out for now. I thought I'd do a little bit of update since today is so nice and it's supposed to get cold again tomorrow, and the fact that, you know, I can't put the suspension back together until that gets taken care of, which would really set me back. So I thought I'd tackle it today. I got that mostly pulled out. It's still technically pushed in just a smidge from here to here, but I mean, it doesn't affect anything. And I got that straightened out for the most part pretty decent. I got that flange straightened out. And then there's two layers of metal here. This upper layer comes down to here, or yeah, here it comes up and does this, whatever. Anyways, so I cut out them two pieces and pulled this out quite a bit, pulled this out a little bit, and then you can see, like I mentioned earlier, I could see the way metal was bent, that there was a brace in here, and of course it didn't even affect that. That's perfect. The rest of the interior is perfect. The only thing that I can't really get, and it doesn't really matter, is I beat this in a little bit because this got shoved in just a smidge. This inner piece right here, just the inner piece got crunched in just a smidge. but the outer piece is still fine. And it's for all intents and purposes, I mean, other than it shifted over a little bit, just in that one little spot, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. Like I say, the overall structure is, you know, where it's supposed to be. The frame rail's where it's supposed to be. So that really ain't, and it's not off by much. I mean, quarter of an inch, you know, it's pushed in maybe a quarter of an inch, just this inner layer. So I'm not gonna worry about it. I will clean the undercoating off of here, and I'll probably just do a little mud work just to smooth out just a little bit, but once I get this, of course, welded in. So I already got that's the inner piece there, flattened out, and I got the two halves of the outer piece to weld over that once I get that piece in. So I thought I'd throw a little update, and if I get this all welded up and cleaned up, I won't get it mudded today, but I mean, if I get it all welded up, I'll do an update yet today remaining. And then the only thing I'd have left is to fix this brake line bracket, which I'm not going to do until it comes time to replacing the brake line, because I don't want to take the brake line off yet. So, and I got all the suspension pieces ordered. I got the strut, the control arm, end links, and wheel and tire. So I think the axle shaft, even though it pulls out, it pushes back in, so I think the axle shaft is probably fine. If it's not, I can always replace it later. So, all right. Just in time, I decided to go through with getting this done today, because today, like I say, was one of our last nice days. But anyways, all things considering, I mean, it's kind of hard to see in the light with just the light, because it reflects all the grinding marks, so it's kind of hard to see, but there we go. Turned out pretty decent. I had, you know, pieced together that inner, there's like 2 or 3 pieces for that inner sheet metal. That's actually part of the outside of the frame rail here. I got that welded in first. And then I proceeded to get this upper piece. And then once you smooth out with a little bit of body filler, it'll look pretty close to the other side. So I'm pretty happy with this. Turned out pretty good. So no more hole. Well, here it is with the wheel and suspension all together on it. Just a quick note, this video here is of the current time, and all the previous footage you just saw was from like way back last October. So that's like going on 4 months old now, or close to it. So just the way things worked out, whatever. Also, just a quick side note, I was going to do footage of the Ford Flex that I got, but because when I disassembled the front end, I found out I'd done some video, and when I disassembled it and found out the frame rails were bent, it totally threw a wrench in my plans. I got to do things completely differently now, and so all the stuff I talked about is irrelevant and moot. I'm not going to upload useless footage, so I'll just start off with brand new footage once I get back to that one. So anyways, I'll continue on this, showing you what got done here. So as you can see, get some little bit of light in here. There we go. Kind of can see it. New control arm. That was a bitch to get in. Doing it on the ground, putting it. Long story short, see it under here. Come on. Yeah, right there. Where the control arm goes in, there's a bracket that holds the end of the control arm on. The problem is, 2 of the 3 bolts that hold that bracket on are covered by the subframe. In other words, you gotta drop the damn subframe in order to replace it, and that's retarded. Not to mention they use them reverse torque bit bolt things. I gotta get a set of them because most modern cars have them nowadays. So I couldn't even take it off of you if I wanted to. Yeah, so I had to do it the old-fashioned way, pull it out of the rubber, and then trying to get the new one back in that rubber was a nightmare. It took 2 people and a ratchet strap, and got it. So anyways, struts in, the end links in, the brake line's in. The shop took it and got it aligned. Although the only problem is when I got it back, I can no longer open the damn hood. I don't know what's going on. I mean, the hood latches, there's 2 of them. They're right here and here. you know, they're not damaged. This hood worked just perfect, and now it don't open. I gotta figure out how to get that open. If not, worst case scenario, I'll just take a grinder or something and cut across the entire hood and split it in half. So yeah, so that's where we're at on this. Wheel and tire look nice. I got a matching tire with the that matched the original tires. Remember, this car's only at 10,000 miles. I guess the only other thing, stick that right there. Ooh, that's a little more intense than I thought. Anyways, I think what I'll last do here is, because I haven't done it yet, although hopefully, since it's been sitting for 3 months, hopefully it'll start. Well, the window thing still goes down. Well, I want to start up for you guys real quick. Hopefully it'll start. There's the old parts and stuff. Let's see. I just want to see. Ooh. It's got the nice green accent lighting and stuff. Come on, footsie. I think you need to step on that to start it. Contact. Ooh. So it seems, get my foot over this again. Seems to run pretty good. Can't complain. The only thing is I took it for a test drive, and after a couple miles, just as I was getting back, the coolant light came on. So I don't know if the radiator's broken or not. I gotta check that out, but I can't until I get the hood open. So yeah, there's that. I can't run this too long because this is my attached garage, which is pretty small. Pretty cold out. It's only, I don't know, about 10, 15 out. It might be a little bit warmer than that. It might be closer to 20 yet. But, I still got the correct date. So anyways, I think that's about it. The next update hopefully will be sooner than later. It ain't gonna be 4 months from now, I can tell you that much. Hopefully I'll be able to get working on this. Winter's hopefully getting over here soon. Yeah, I guess we'll show more of the car. It is pretty nice in here. It's very clean. I mean, for 10,000 miles, that's what you'd, I guess, expect. Side visor is kind of neat. And you got the little aircraft toggle switches down there for the windows and whatnot. But yeah, I think that's about it. Catch you on the flip side.